I've said this for a long time. The hype on Arch Manning was fucking insane. He is, and I know what you're doing. Like, you're in the business. I always hate the word, like, it's for clicks. Well, yeah, that's the business they're in. Like, the business Ryan Day's in is to win games. If you do something for the internet in terms of writing, your job is to get people to click on it and look. Right? It's why Bronny James a couple years ago was mocked as a top 10 pick. It's why Arch Manning this year is being... most people are talking about it. It's not just one person. It's universal.
To Arch's detriment, he did take a little too long with some reads. He was late on throws. He missed some open targets. There is nobody on this...
Arch Manning, the quarterback everyone's been hyping up in college football, has suddenly become the hottest topic in Cleveland. With GM Andrew Berry and owner Jimmy Haslam showing up at his game, the spotlight couldn't be brighter. But the excitement flipped fast when Manning fumbled not just once, but in embarrassing fashion. Now the debate is exploding. Some fans are rushing to defend him, blaming it on one bad game, but others are questioning if the hype was ever real in the first place. And with Cleveland's interest clearly growing, many are starting to believe the Browns could be looking at Manning as their future QB, using Shedeur Sanders this season but already plotting a switch next year. So what's the real story here? Let's break it down.
And I don't think he's coming out after 1 year.
I don't either.
I don't.
No.
But I think there will be a conversation about it given who holds the first pick.
Arch Manning is only 1 year into his college career, playing his very first season, yet people are already pushing the idea that he could jump to the NFL next year. The shocking part is that the Cleveland Browns are reportedly showing strong interest in him. The hype around Manning is massive, even though he's still barely started his college path. But the Browns' focus on Manning feels questionable, especially when Shedeur Sanders is still right there and available for them. Shedeur has already put up insane numbers and proven elite talent in college, yet somehow the narrative is being tilted toward Manning. Still, Manning is being praised like he's the future quarterback savior for Cleveland. The real question is why the obsession with Manning when Shedeur Sanders has the stronger stats and the better track record so far. Let's actually break down the numbers both quarterbacks have put up in college and see how they compare. When looking at Arch Manning and Shedeur Sanders, it's obvious both bring unique skills and strong pedigrees. But their journeys and college performances couldn't be more different, which makes the non-stop hype about Manning's possible NFL leap next year look questionable, especially when Sanders already has a highly productive and polished college career to his name. Looking at their 2024 seasons, Arch Manning, still just a redshirt freshman at Texas, played on a very limited basis. He had only 2 starts, with most of his snaps coming as relief for starter Quinn Ewers. In those short stints, Manning flashed some potential, like his 223-yard, 5-touchdown game against UTSA. His season totals were 63 completions on 95 attempts for 969 yards, 9 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions. On paper it looks solid, but the reality is it came from a very small sample size. Manning also showed some of his dual threat ability, picking up 115 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns, but again, way too little action for the amount of hype he's getting. Manning's biggest struggle came in his full start against ULM, where he put up a shaky line, 258 yards with 2 touchdowns but also 2 interceptions. On the other hand, Shedeur Sanders played an entire season as Colorado's starter in 2024, and his numbers blow Manning's out of the water. Sanders completed 353 of 477 passes for 4,134 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, leading the Buffaloes to a 9-4 record and an Alamo Bowl appearance. His accuracy was elite, hitting 74% of his passes, which is even more impressive considering Colorado's offensive line was a disaster, allowing him to get sacked an insane 42 times. Even with all that pressure, Shedeur Sanders kept one of the lowest off-target rates in the country, proving his elite accuracy and smart decision-making. His calmness and consistency as a full-time starter make his stats even more impressive, especially compared to Manning's tiny sample size. When it comes to rushing, Manning definitely showed more mobility with 115 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns, highlighted by a 67-yard run that flashed his athleticism. Sanders isn't really seen as a running threat, and his rushing numbers suffered badly because of all the sacks he took. Still, he managed to add 4 rushing touchdowns, showing he can step up in that part of the game when needed. Both quarterbacks are clearly talented, but the comparison between Arch Manning and Shedeur Sanders shows a sharp contrast in experience and consistency. Sanders, with multiple years as a starter, proved his leadership by overcoming a weak offensive line and still carrying Colorado to one of its best seasons in recent memory. Manning, on the other hand, hasn't even played a full season and is still in the early stages of his development. His 2025 debut against Ohio State exposed some serious flaws, including accuracy problems and questionable decision-making when the pressure was on. Despite Shedeur Sanders' proven track record, the hype around Arch Manning is impossible to ignore. His last name alone carries huge weight, as the nephew of NFL legends Peyton and Eli Manning. That family pedigree has created sky-high expectations for him, letting many people brush off his flaws and focus only on his potential. Meanwhile, Sanders, who has arguably had the better college career, gets hit with far more criticism, from questions about his decision-making under pressure to constant talk about the sacks he's taken. Looking ahead, Manning's 2025 season will be make or break in proving whether the hype is real or just a product of his last name. If Arch Manning can prove himself in the tough SEC, facing powerhouses like Florida, Oklahoma, and Georgia, he could lock in his spot as one of the top prospects for the 2026 NFL Draft. Shedeur Sanders, meanwhile, is already with the Cleveland Browns and will probably start as a rookie backup, but his college career was strong enough to make him a real contender for a day-one starting role down the line. With Sanders' polished playmaking skills and Manning's raw but unproven potential, the debate over who the Browns should actually invest in for the future isn't going away, and it will only get louder as their careers move forward.
Said this for a long time. The hype on Arch Manning was fucking insane. He is, and I know what you're doing. Like, you're in the business. I always hate the word, like, it's for clicks. Well, yeah, that's the business they're in. Like, the business Ryan Day's in is to win games. If you do something for the internet in terms of writing, your job is to get people to click on it and look. Right? It's why Bronny James a couple years ago was mocked as a top 10 pick. It's why Arch Manning this year is being, most people are talking about it. It's not just one person, it's universal.
In contrast, Shedeur Sanders' college career has been all about hard work, resilience, and pure skill. His steady play in a tough environment, taking a rebuilding Colorado program to a 9-4 season, proved that he can handle pressure and step up when it matters most. The debate will no doubt keep raging, but it's obvious the Browns face a huge choice about their future quarterback. Do they trust Sanders, a proven performer, or take a risky gamble on Arch Manning's untested potential? One thing is crystal clear. The hype machine surrounding Manning has to be checked against reality if he's ever going to live up to the massive expectations tied to his last name. So, what's your take on all this? Is the hype around Arch Manning actually real, or is it just media-driven noise that ignores what he's really done on the field? Are the Browns making a huge mistake by chasing Manning's potential instead of giving Shedeur Sanders the respect he deserves after an outstanding college career? Are we unfairly piling too much pressure on a young quarterback who's barely started playing? Or is Manning honestly the NFL's next big thing just because of his last name? Arch Manning's hype is all about his last name, while Shedeur Sanders has already proven himself with elite numbers and leadership. Backhand index pointing right, like, comment, and subscribe for more real NFL debates.